7.3 was considered a filler patch, but now it's shaping up to be one of my most anticipated patches in all of Final Fantasy XIV Dawntrail. We have a lot to talk about, from the climactic story we're bound to get, to the Alliance raid, and the whole new deep dungeon and an entire new difficulty mode called Quantum. 7.3 is seemingly laying the groundwork for the future of Final Fantasy. But is it more of the same, or is this hype justified? Well, let's talk about it. Hello everyone, I am Jmulls, and let's get right on into this, shall we? Up first, let's go over the patch and what's actually coming out for 7.3. And to do so, we have an updated website that we can peruse and browse and navigate. So let's do so. Patch 7.3, The Promise of Tomorrow. August 5th, 2025 is the release date, as was announced at the live letter. We're getting new main story, Let Memories Shine as Golden Light, a dawn to banish darkest night. This is the finale to the Dawntrail storyline, going back to the style of patches they did before Endwalker, where the 0.3 patch was the finale, and then we move into a transition period leading into the next expansion. We'll be dealing with Calyx, Sphene, and who knows what else. The vibe from the trailer really gave off as if it's going to be pretty dark, we're dealing with a bunch of crises, but it did feel as if they were playing their cards closer to their chest so as not to actively spoil too much. So we'll have to wait and see. Next up, we have the new Alliance raid, Echoes of Anadil Sandoria the Second Walk. This is continuing the Alliance raid story based in Final Fantasy XI that was introduced back in patch 7.1. And yeah, I think the standout features for this raid for me, so far from what we have seen, is not even necessarily what the fights will be, because I haven't played Final Fantasy XI. I don't have any nostalgia built up in anticipation for this raid, but the music they showed off during the live letter was extraordinary. I loved it. And I think the visuals in terms of like where we're going looks really dang cool. We talked about a while ago, should Final Fantasy XIV return to high fantasy, and how do you even like define high fantasy? I think this is one of the best encapsulations of what I mean personally. I'm all on board with stuff like this, giant castles, the color, this really cool like frozen tundra with this spire, the aurora borealis that is localized within my kitchen, up in the sky over there that's multicolored. I think it looks really dang cool. Now, it is just an Alliance raid, right? Like, let's not overhype this. Hopefully the fights are good. Hopefully the story is good. Hasn't been my favorite Alliance raid series so far, but we've only had one installment for it, so who knows where we go from here. The glam is just not for me. I'm not going to use any of this set for my tank. It's like, maybe I could use this middle set if it's the tank set, like maybe without the helmet. I think it looks stupid, but like it looked fine. I miss when we got really cool armor. Dawntrail's really not giving me much in that regard outside of the initial level 99 gear. The regular clothing or the more tame armor sets just aren't really doing it for me. We have a new dungeon, the Meso Terminal. It's a Final Fantasy XIV dungeon. You kind of know what to expect, right? Seems as if we're going to go through the memories of Calyx throughout this dungeon, probably in a similar vein to how we did it with the final dungeon of 7.0 in the main story quest when we went through Alexandria's history. We have a new trial, no real new information about this one. I'm imagining it's going to be like Calyx combining with the giant statue in living memory. They haven't confirmed that, though I do believe they have kind of hinted that it's going to be in that direction, but we'll have to wait and see. The Unreal trial is the Wreath of Snakes. Yeah, Snake Boy's back. We'll have the next tier of the relic weapon grind, whatever this will be, crossing our fingers it's not the book grind again. Lord help us all if it is. But we shall see, we shall see. We also have Cosmic Exploration, new tool enhancement quest, and we're going to an entire new planet / star called Fana, so if you enjoyed Cosmic Exploration, there's more of that. We're also getting a new treasure dungeon, Crystalline Conflict update with that new map. We're getting a new Allied Society quest in patch 7.35 with a Yakoi, more Hildebrand in 7.35, chat bubbles, and the content everyone has been really looking forward to, additional Doman Mahjong voices, Wuklamad Kona and Bakul Jaja. Guys, I think the game is saved. But now let's talk about the deep dungeon and Final Fantasy's direction pivot. The big one. Pilgrim's Traverse, the new deep dungeon. Now, granted, it's not coming out till patch 7.35, which, yeah, is a bit deflating, but this is easily the content I'm looking forward to the most out of Dawntrail. I think of any of the endgame systems that Dawntrail is likely to have, this has the best chance to be my favorite. I really liked how this looked in the live letter. I never really dumped a bunch of hours or time or commitment into deep dungeons in this game before. I had dipped my toe in them, don't get me wrong, but never really fully immersed myself in doing a deep dungeon. And I intend to throw myself into the deep end when it comes to Pilgrim's Traverse. I love the fact we're going back to the first. I love the fact that Feaul will be a main companion throughout it. The visuals look incredible, and I think quantum difficulty for the final floor 99 fight is one of the most interesting design choices I've seen them do in this game in a while. And I think it has so much potential. And I think this is where some people can get thrown off, right? Where it's the specific implementation of quantum in patch 7.3 could be here or there. They could get the balancing wrong, they could get the reward structure off, people might just gravitate to doing the hardest version of quantum they can possibly do just in the name of more efficient reward acquisition. That might screw up random groups trying to just be thrown together to do it. We'll have to wait and see, but I think it's the idea of quantum and the idea of customized scaled difficulty in Final Fantasy XIV that can go so far. And we may not see it fully in 7.35 when we get Pilgrim's Traverse, but it's that system, the idea that you can customize the difficulty of a fight to tool the parameters in such a way to correspond to what you're strong and what you're weak against, or what your group is strong and weak against, to augment the difficulty of a piece of content to suit your own preferences, and to feel incentivized to get better at the game. They have to nail the execution, and that is up to them, right? But if they're able to nail that, if they're able to strike that balance, then quantum could be applied to regular questing perhaps, for the MSQ. Imagine having challenges that are actually challenging while questing. What a thought. This could be applied to regular dungeons perhaps. I mean, the fight they're using is only a 4-man fight. Theoretically, it should be, I wouldn't call it easy, but at least it should be a lateral move to apply it to regular dungeon fights. I would still like to see the layouts of dungeons in the future have more variety to them, but giving dungeons overall more teeth could go a long way. And I don't just mean in terms of making it Mythic Plus or something. It's design direction like Quantum that I think can go a long way, but also indicates they are willing to try new things. They are willing to take this game in different directions. This feels like a beta test to me. This feels okay, look, we have this deep dungeon, we can do something cool here, see how people like it, see how we can develop it and execute on this principle. What do we get wrong? What can we get right? How can we iterate on this in the future? Because my biggest fear is that Quantum is a one-off thing, whether it's good or bad. My hope is that whether it's good or bad, they take the idea, they take the feedback they're bound to get for Quantum and iterate on that idea in the future to ideally make it better, more engaging, more enjoyable, better balanced. I am personally pleasantly surprised by the fact that even experimenting with Quantum to begin with. I was just expecting a regular deep dungeon, but we go to the side instead of going up or down, and then we get a hard mode fight at the very end. Not sure how much Pilgrim's Traverse will really shake things up, but I think it's a good sign of things to come. And I think it's Square Enix signaling to us, the player base, that they are willing to take things in a different direction. I want to take a couple of minutes to talk about the potential pitfalls of Quantum, and where this system could really mess up, at least in my eyes. Well, one, they could obviously get the balancing wrong, and just have certain mechanics be deemed by the community to be way more dangerous than others, so instead of having the freedom to customize the boss to your own individual preferences, they really just ends up feeling as if there is an obvious build to go down, and what mechanic to delay until last to upgrade. There's also the concern that, hey, let's face it, Final Fantasy XIV is an MMORPG. People are going to min-max it. So what if in Party Finder, people just go for the toughest fights possible most of the time? And it just becomes really hard to find one of those easier configurations of Quantum. Because everyone's just trying to go all in or nothing because you're not losing your resources. There's no real risk outside of just the time loss in terms of attempting a harder version of the fight. What if the player base for this content isn't even all that big because, well, in order to do it, you have to not only get to the end of Pilgrim's Traverse to begin with, but also to start Pilgrim's Traverse, you have to have cleared the first 50 floors of Palace of the Dead. Sure, quite a few people have probably done that, but have newer players? It's a really weird requirement to still have at this point in the game, especially for a new deep dungeon. It just feels as if it doesn't need to be there, and almost feels as if it's tacked on just to give people like a tutorial for how deep dungeons operate, but you would imagine the early floors of Pilgrim's Traverse would also double as that. It's really bizarre. The other one, and honestly, probably the biggest thing they could mess up here, is just the rewards. Because if the rewards dry up way too quickly, or just people don't want them, for whatever reason, they don't care about the mounts that much, they don't care about the minions, it just starts to feel old, the main thing you're getting is just like materia, like, hey dude, I got a level 11 materia for you, congratulations. That is one of the biggest avenues they could mess up when it comes to Pilgrim's Traverse, when it comes to the quantum fight, is just how do you incentivize people to do it to begin with? Do they try and reward weapon glam? They did say that at 40 offerings, so the highest difficulty variant of that quantum fight would have mechanics similar to an ultimate. Do you give like weapon glam or just regular glam? What if people don't like it? That's been a bit of an issue I've seen, at least in my community and online, with people's thoughts on the glamour sets in Dawntrail. There are a bunch of pitfalls that Final Fantasy XIV could fall in and stumble in that could undermine this entire system. But I do like the fact that at least willing to try this to begin with. We've been saying for a while, especially around these parts, that the game is needed to take more risks, to be more outgoing, to try new things, to mix things up. That is exactly what Quantum is. Risks don't come without potential downsides. That is what makes them risks and not just like guaranteed victories. It's a matter of, can they design this well enough in such a way to minimize those risks or to remove them entirely? Or if not, in future installments, can they iterate on the concept enough to take player feedback and experience into account to make the system better for the next time? If this is a sign of things to come and they're willing to take these risks to experiment with new things, new reward structures, new ways to do fights, that can go a very long way in the future. When it comes to community perception surrounding Final Fantasy XIV, I think it may get a little bit better throughout 7.3. I do, especially if they're able to nail the main story. I thought 7.2 was great, but it did feel like a lot of setup. Now it's the time to pay that off. Deliver a great finale to the story and get people excited for what is to come in the future. Close the book on Dawntrail and let's begin moving on to what comes afterwards. The wait to 7.35 will be long, and people will understandably and justifiably be annoyed that we have to once again wait until the .x5 patch for the big endgame content to come online. That is something I do believe they need to address in the future. I don't see them doing that until 8.x, but it is something I believe they need to address. It makes patch day feel worse. But when we do end up getting Pilgrim's Traverse, if they are able to make it a really good deep dungeon and knock this out of the park, especially when it comes to Quantum, again, I do believe that can go a long way. It's not going to fix everything or anything like that, but I think it can do a heck of a lot more than what people thought 7.3 was going to do initially. What if they take the Quantum idea and iterate on it when it comes to the variant dungeon they announced is coming in 7.4 that I also predicted? These are cool gameplay systems and ideas that Final Fantasy XIV has had for the longest time that have always needed just a little bit more iteration, just a little bit more here and there to round it out, and I think to make it way more palatable for a wider audience. Can they manage to find that balance here with Quantum, or a similar idea to Quantum? Time will tell, but I think what 7.3 and its legacy hopefully will be, in a best case scenario, was that it was the start of a change in design philosophy for Final Fantasy XIV. We move away from the Dawntrail era, we close the book on a good note with a good MSQ, hopefully. Pilgrim's Traverse and Quantum are a sign of things to come, and the game goes in a better direction from here on out. I don't think the individual legacy in terms of how much people actually end up enjoying 7.3x will be like insane or god tier or anything like that. But what I think this patch is doing is laying the groundwork for things to come, for future design direction, and just overall design in this game going into the future. Hopefully this is an indicator they're willing to take more risks, they're willing to try more new things, and to shake things up, to move away from the established status quo, and be willing to take the familiar and make it not familiar. Time will tell though, because just as easily as they could make this all end up working, they can easily shoot themselves in the foot and mess it all up. Even if they end up doing that, I don't think they should abandon these ideas. They should instead take that to heart and iterate on them for the future. That to me is what they should do if they end up messing this up. And if they don't, and it just ends up being a banger, and we're happy, and we're pumping our fists in the air like it's an 80s power metal music video, we're doing good. I am way more optimistic for patch 7.3x than I was before the live letter. It's funny because in a lot of ways, yeah, I don't think the patch will see much playtime in terms of like what I want out of the game from me until we get to Pilgrim's Traverse, until we get to 7.35. And I imagine I'm not alone in that. I want to do the MSQ, I want to do the Alliance Raid, I want to do Cosmic Exploration. There are things that I want to do. It's just initially when the patch comes out, there won't be that much for me outside of like a day or two. So we run into that old familiar problem with Final Fantasy XIV when it comes to when stuff actually comes out, and you know, having the deep dungeon be the new main leveling source since it's so late into the expansion already. Having said that, the individual things that are coming out may be a bit few and far between, but I am looking forward to a lot of what's actually coming out. I'm looking forward to the MSQ, I am looking forward to the Alliance Raid, I'm looking forward to Cosmic Exploration, I am looking forward to Pilgrim's Traverse. I'm also really looking forward to the new Hildebrand quests. They've been great this expansion so far. So yeah, I'm looking forward to 7.3 personally. But here's where you come in. Leave a comment down below with your thoughts, your opinions. What are you looking forward to the most out of 7.3? What do you still hope they change for the future? And where do you think the idea of quantum could be applied to next in Final Fantasy XIV? Questing, dungeons, trials, raids. I'd love to hear your thoughts and hear your opinions and hear your perspectives. And you should leave a like and subscribe to stay tuned for future coverage of Final Fantasy XIV Dawntrail and patch 7.3. Follow me on TikTok, Twitch, and Twitter, Jmulls G. I have a Discord in the description down below. And if you want my initial raw thoughts on the live letter for patch 7.3, you should check out this video for more. Bye bye everybody, have a great day, and I'll see you all next time. Until we meet again!